Andy and I just kept hearing this, and Andy was a fighter. He liked to fight. He jumped up and hollered out, "Oh, you motherfucker, come in here and I'll whoop your ass." And I'm sitting there thinking, Andy, that might be Sonny. He might have come out of the tent, might be walking around, just trying to scare us. I'll whip his ass. I ain't scared of him. Then it would stop. We sit there. We finished a beer and we got another one. And when I walked to the truck to get into the ice chest, it followed. I came back and I said, Andy, that's not a dog. That's got to be a man out there, some old hillbilly. I'm kind of scared. He said, did your dad bring a gun? I said, no. Didn't bring a gun. He said, well, we got our hunting knives. These hunting knives were the old Imperial brand hunting knives that you could buy in any variety store for $1. They would not cut hot butter. But it made us feel like we had something. But I had something else. I had a Ben Pearson 40-pound recurve bow.
Hell yeah. I'll do something.
I went and got the bow. Had half a dozen arrows. They all had broadhead on them. Looked like razor blades. So I shouted out, look, mister, I don't want to have to shoot you with one of these things because it'll hurt. Nothing else. Never heard it leave. Nothing. Well, when my dad came in, him and my cousin Earl, they told us to go into the tent and to turn that lantern out before you walk up there to the tent. And the tent was inside the tree line. Here was two 18-year-old men, because we considered ourselves men. We picked and graduated high school. He was going to the Army, I was going to go to school. And he tells me, do we have to do it? I said, Daddy said, turn it off. We got to turn it off. Turned it off, and that was the fastest walk I ever made to a tent. We got in there. My brother-in-law passed out. Had his old K-bar stuck into the floor of the tent beside his hand. It didn't spell a very good idea to us to even suggest that he was trying to scare us. And then we could hear something moving outside the tent. Andy said, it's kind of cold tonight. I said, yeah. He said, why don't we put these cots together and we just share some blankets? I said, all right. You want next to the window? No. So I took the spot next to the window. You could hear something breathing. My brother-in-law's here. My dad and our cousins, they're in a tent. I saw them when they went in. We pushed the cots together. We put the sleeping bags together. We covered with the quilt that I had. He had his head covered, and I joined him pretty quick. Come morning, Daddy and Earl fed us, give us a boat, showed me how to run an outboard motor, and told us to do whatever we wanted to do. So we went fishing. And there was an island. At that time it was an island. It's not an island anymore. And Rodney named that island about 10 years ago. Rebel Island. And we decided on our last day here, this was like on Saturday, and we was catching a mess of fish. But on Sunday morning, we were going to go across to that island. We were going to hike up to the top, and we had one of them little old commemorative Confederate flags. Not very big, about that long, maybe that big. And we were going to do our class yell. But when we got there, we pulled up on the bank and tied the boat. And right in front of us was the biggest damn game trail I've ever seen. I've never seen another one that big. Didn't know what was over there. But it was well used, so we thought it might have been there for years and just got widened. We hiked up that hill. We got up to the top, and when we entered this clearing, there was a bunch of pine trees. They was all broke over, twisted, all around. This was about probably anywhere from a 50 to 100 yard circular clearing. All the grass beat down. We put that little flag in one of those twists, and we did our class yell. We started down. Then we heard it. We took a step, we heard a step. A lot heavier step than what we were making. But we couldn't see anything in the woods. It was on our left-hand side going down. We kept trying to draw it out. And he says, David, I think it's nothing but some old hillbillies over here trying to scare us. I said, scare as hell, they want to rape us.
They want to rape you? You said?
No, that's what I told him, because we didn't, we at that time, we thought it was really and truly just hillbillies. We had heard all kinds of stories growing up anyway, that hillbillies were not normal and things like that, and everything that city folk think. We walked another few yards, and this thing walked with us. When we stopped, it stopped. Then we heard it breathing. I stepped off the path, told Andy, follow me, and we started down away from the path and further away from this. But wherever we walked, it was still right beside us. Still can't see anything. We jumped down off this little ledge to a rock ledge right below us. I'm thinking this is a good place to hide. And we're sitting there kind of congratulating ourselves, and then we hear the heavy breathing, the grunting, the growl. We turned our heads up and looked over us, and looking down at us from the place that we had jumped down to this little ledge was the biggest fucking gorilla I've ever seen. We jumped off of that ledge, hit the ground running. We tore through old briars, everything. Getting cut up, scratched up. Limbs slapping us in the face if one of us got ahead of the other one. We come out on the beach, not more than just a few yards from the boat. I ran and jumped in the boat and cranked it. Andy got in the boat, and you could hear this thing coming down the hill right behind us, and you could even kind of see its path it was coming, because them little saplings wasn't even stopping it. It wasn't slowing it down, nothing. Andy jumps out of the boat. Because I was using paddle, I was pushing us out. I had the motor cranked, but I had to stop. Andy jumps out, picks up a rock that looks like a pyramid in shape, big old rock, and plants it right in the middle of that pathway, that game trail, pointing up. I yell at him to get his butt in the boat. He does. We're backing out. And this thing bust out on the beach just where we had it. Now, fellas, it wasn't a gorilla. But it's the closest damn thing I've ever seen to a gorilla. It stood between 7 and 8 foot tall, covered in reddish brown hair. It wasn't a female. He had male genitalia. Arms hung down to about his knees. He roared at us, and he entered the water. I got us away from the island. And we was coming beach where our camp was, and we were supposed to be getting ready to leave anyway. And he says, "Dave, can you stop?" So I killed the motor. I said, "What's wrong?" He says, "I've pissed my pants." "What was that?" I said, "I have no idea. But you're not the only person that's pissed their pants." He said, "What's your dad and Mr. Earl and your brother-in-law going to say?" I said, "They ain't going to say nothing. Jump in the water." He said, "I can't swim."
No.
I said, "Jump in the water. You got a life jacket on. Hang on to the boat." "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm jumping in the water. I know how to swim." Wasn't quite ready for the cold water.
Yeah, for real.
So we kind of paddled our way with our feet where we could actually feel the ground under us again. Pull the boat up. First thing that happened when we walked into camp is, "Did y'all have an accident?" "Yeah, we had a rough spot out there, and Andy went in the water and he can't swim, and I had to go in after him."